This is Safety Bri, your number one safety geek. Why do we have the behaviors that we do? Superheroes in the workplace, right? All of those things that go into making you an effective safety manager. I love what we do. Motivation, learning, teaching, training, teamwork. I geek out over that just as much as I do safety. Hello, my safety friends. Welcome to the Safety Geek. My name is Bri, and I am your number one safety geek. And today we are talking about how safety is a profession and not a promotion. Now, you guys might have a problem with this because it might be how you actually got into safety. It's actually how I got into safety. But my whole idea is that I want to make sure that everybody understands that this is a profession. It is not just something that anybody can do. You actually have to be skilled and educated in order to be a safety manager. So what happens in a lot of companies is they need a safety manager. So instead of actually getting somebody who's experienced, who knows what they're doing, has been doing it for a while, maybe someone who's currently working as a safety specialist, they'll go to anybody in their facility that maybe has an interest in safety and say, hey, guess what? You're the new safety manager. Good luck with that, right? So I see that a lot. And the problem with that is that it actually takes a safety manager from that point a good 3 to 5 years to get up to speed to where they're actually making a real impact on the organization, like beyond just the low-hanging fruit that's easy to do and the daily tasks, right? Like actually falling into the role. And it's okay if that's how you came into the safety profession. Like I said, that's the way I came into the safety profession. I just don't think that that's really the right path that many companies should take, because I feel like they're shooting themselves in the foot because safety has such a positive impact on all of their departments. So when you hire someone that has no experience, you're going to actually delay all of those positive impacts. But what I want to talk about today is to get it through your head that this is a profession. Congratulations to you if you just got promoted into a safety position. I think that's amazing. I hope you love it as much as I do, but I want you to understand that it is a profession. And this is why it kind of bothers me a little bit, because you would never see a company do that with the HR manager. They already see the HR manager as a professional, and that not just anybody can do HR. So you would never see them doing that. But they do it with safety all the time. And not just everybody can do safety. It's very true. You have to have skills. You have to have education in order to do safety. And that takes time. So if you got promoted into it, then yes, you're going to do amazing. You can learn everything. You could be an amazing safety manager. But like I said, there's going to be a delay because you're starting behind the starting line, right? So the results of this, so when a company decides like, hey, I'm going to promote you, the results of this to you, this is what I'm talking about. I'm going to promote you as a safety manager. The problem is that they obviously don't see the position as a professional position. So that means they're not going to treat you the way that you should be treated. They're not going to treat you as a high-level manager, and that's the way you should be treated. Technically, you need to report to the highest level of the company, which puts you up in the executive staff level. They're not going to treat you that way when 2 days ago, you were a frontline worker. And then what happens is they don't include you in the stuff that they're working on. They give you a bunch of tasks and they just expect you to do those tasks. And when you start going beyond that, then there's an issue. And the reason there's an issue is because they never saw the position as a professional position to begin with. They were just like, I don't want to deal with hiring somebody. I don't want to pay somebody like I should. So let me promote from within. A friend of mine works at a company right now. They just did this. Their safety manager was let go. They were experienced, educated safety manager. They were let go for reasons I won't discuss. So instead of hiring another one who was just as experienced, they took a frontline worker and made them the safety manager with zero experience, which great for them. It's an amazing profession. I think they're going to love it, but they're not skilled enough to know better that they're not being treated right either. That's the other issue. So if this is happening to you, here are some steps I want you to take. First, obviously educate yourself on safety. And you can go back a few episodes where I talked about getting your foot in the door in a safety position and the different ways you can educate yourself in getting the regulations known and all of that, best practices, webinars, conferences, great. The safety side, yes, you need to educate yourself. But what I also want you to educate yourself on is leadership and management. Right away, go out and buy yourself some leadership and management books, the newest bestsellers in that field, and start reading them. Start reading how you can be a good leader, how you can be a good manager. You might already be coming from a leadership role, but leadership and safety is way different. You have no authority. You have to be a leader over people that you have no control over and you have no authority over. So you have to start learning how to actually affect change without, needless to say, the hammer, right? Because you have no hammer. You have no authority to write them up. You have no authority to fire them. You have no authority whether or not they're hired, but you are accountable for their behavior if they get injured. It's way different than any other leadership role. So you have to learn the best leadership skills out there and the best management skills out there. So that way, one, you get along with the rest of the management team, and two, you can start affecting change. And secondly, what I want you to work on is changing your mindset and your confidence. Because you've never done this before, you're going to walk in with very low confidence. And what I will tell you is that when you start doing the work, you will build confidence. But you've got to get that confidence there right away. You have to. And I'm not saying fake it till you make it, because that's a really bad saying. But what I am saying is that you have to have the confidence that I am a professional, I am a leader, and I can do this job, because you can. But you have to have that mindset. And I want you to shift your mindset that you are no longer a supervisor or no longer a manager. You are a leader in your organization. Because remember, you should be reporting to the highest level of that organization. That puts you up there in a leadership role, not just a management role. Now, the next steps that you need to take is one, act like a professional. This means you do not show up at meetings in your safety gear. You show up at meetings in your suit, maybe in your tie. You should be dressing like the other executives dress as well. That portrays professionalism. It portrays leadership. And believe it or not, that's the way our human brains work, is that when people are, the way they act and the way they dress actually affects our biases towards them. So I want them to be treating you like a professional, because you are a professional. So make sure that you dress it, okay? And when you sit through their meetings, sit through the entire meeting. Too many times I see safety managers come in for their part and then they leave. And they don't stay for the rest of the executive management meeting. Everything they're talking about at that table affects you. So make sure that you're staying there and you are learning all of that as well, and that you are sitting through it. Do you see any of them getting up halfway through the meeting and leaving? No, because they're professionals and you're a professional too. So you sit through that entire meeting. And you might be saying, well, they never call me. They never include me in the meeting, and they tell me I can't go. You have to set that expectation that you need to be included. That comes from confidence. That comes from that mindset shift. I'll tell you, when I first started in safety, they never included me either. They said, there's no reason for you to be there. Why do you need to be there? I started telling them why I needed to be there. I had to give them examples. You just sold all of these widgets, and that affects my job. And I wouldn't have known that unless I was in that meeting. And by the time I found out about it, it was too late for me to do anything. And now we have 3 accidents. So those are the things that you need to start really expressing to them, that you need to be in those meetings. You need to be in the manager's meeting, the sales meeting, all of them, because everything they do affects you. And what does that do in turn? It makes them start seeing you as a professional, because you're showing up in your suit. And next, I want you to immediately create an improvement plan. When you are promoted into a safety position, they just expect you to keep the status quo. They're just like, yeah, they can handle everything that's going on. They don't expect you to actually wow, they know what they're doing and they're going to make improvements. So start looking at safety best practices and how you can apply them at your work, and what can you do to improve what you're currently doing. So start creating an improvement plan and sharing that with the management team. It will shift their mindset as well, that you're taking the role seriously and that you are a professional. That is my rant for today. And I'm calling it a rant because it really is just a pet peeve of mine. I understand that people need to be promoted from within in order to get to our field, because half the people in our field are self-taught and half the people in our field came from this. But it just kind of drives me crazy when I see a company that had a safety manager. Like generally you see, I agree with it when they've never had one, so they don't really know the difference. But they had a safety manager, and then they're basically promoting from within just so that way they don't have to hire another one. So then it shows it's like a huge culture thing too. It's like maybe they don't have the culture for safety there. So keep that in mind too, because you can change culture. I will teach you how to do that. I mean, that's what I'm here for. And I will teach you how to get management support, all of those little hurdles along the way. But just keep in mind that those little things take time. So when you're getting promoted into the job, look at it as an amazing opportunity, but do also know that you've got a bunch of hurdles to cross because that's the way you got hired too. And you're going to start with changing that mindset and building some confidence. Alrighty, my friends, that is what I have for you this week. Thanks for listening to my rant. Have a safe and amazing week, and I will catch you next week. Bye-bye. Hey there! What did you think about this week's episode? I would love to know. Hop on over to thesafetygeek.com and leave a comment and rating on this week's show notes. And while you're there, click on that little share button to tell your friends about it. Thanks, and I'll chat with you next week.